Okay, we are back online, and it is time to reveal who's going to be our next two challengers for the throne. And in this game, we have Area 51 and Blues.
Now, and the winners of last game, of course.
Of course.
Now these Cat
are the two who are challenging the next game, the King and the Heir. So, Area 51, a newer player to Offworld Trading Company. It'll be interesting to see how they perform. I don't think I've ever seen them play in a tournament. And then everyone knows Blues, arguably one of the best FFA players in the game. So, this should be rather fun.
Yeah, it's a very strong lobby once again. It's absolutely not an easy task to end in top 2 here. And the tactic is a Cat are going to try and keep the streak going. Because they got two very eager competitors ready to take them down.
Yeah, I mean, Cat makes a valid point that maybe Queen instead of King, but that would require too much typing in between matches.
It's a valid excuse.
We are on Mars this time. So, round number 2 of Offworld Kings, Death Tacticus, and Cat are from the last game. Cat pulling out a very well-earned victory, and Death Tacticus in second just based off the strength, the amount of money he got. And then Blues and Area 51 are new challengers for this match. I'm still Philothanic, and Andreas is still with me, and Andreas, I imagine, has had a good look at this map. What do you think?
It is a dry ice map. That's the first thing I want to mention here. So that means you can get oxygen and carbon from the ice around the map. Except from that, it's plenty of water here and there. There's the iron patches is mostly located in the left down corner. So anybody deciding to go expansive or didn't have time to see all the options there. Expansive or robotic have to find in proximity to that. We do see, however, that the tactic is spawning expansive in the middle, next to some water.
Yes,
got to chip in on metal.
Spawning, I would be very tempted to found a scientist right here because you get free carbon for any sort of like electronics or chems, and then free oxygen for glass. I've been very, very tempted to do that right there. Now we are going.
Scientific is very interesting because you could take from the ice too, so you suddenly have an income of carbon anywhere on the map, basically.
Yeah, and oxygen for dry ice. Now everybody else is going to respond by going into expansives, and I do seem to agree with that. Cat, our reigning queen of the hill, deciding that she really liked that scientist spot and is going to get as close to it as possible. That Tacticus is going to block Cat. So our reigning monarch may have a little bit of trouble staying in the lead.
Only one steel mill.
This game,
on the short end.
Yeah, Blues getting up to HQ2 off of the strength of this water play, now moving into some iron and steel. Area 51 also getting into HQ2, a more traditional start for Area 51. Area 51 actually has a really nice found, I think. Lots of water. Suffering a little bit for iron. I guess there's this medium over here, so you need to do something about that pretty soon.
Yeah, and the steel mills goes offline as the iron price is going up, so that's a small issue right there.
Yep, Cat mutinies Death Tacticus' steel mill, but when you only scientist steel mills get the science bonus, so Cat's going to have to purchase iron and ship it. So this is going to be a very long and hard first upgrade for Cat.
All prices are very low indeed, and all the players are settling down on the resources they do produce to be able to get that upgrade. So I wouldn't be surprised to see maybe some early power plays from any one of the player, as any of the prizes aren't really all that profitable except for maybe food right there. So
Area 51 going for these double low iron prices. Tiles. Blue's immediately going into some electrolysis, and then somebody just got nuked. Well, DT does not want Area 51 to be in this game, it looks like. And then Death Tacticus finally using up all the claims, going into some greenhouse farms and water. But Death Tacticus does have a goon, but hasn't decided what tile he needs to goon, and is sitting on an absurd 756 stockpile of water. Just like to point that out.
What? How did that happen? Did he just double drill that water patch before he transitioned into greenhouse form?
Yeah, he must have had 3 water pumps there for a while. We do have a geothermal auction going off right now, right next to Area 51. Power is starting to creep up in price, especially because everybody has the steel mills out, and it is a power colony, which is consuming 1.2 power per second.
And Area 51 won that auction, him being the one closest to the geothermal vent as well. Taking 20k for it though, lowers his chance of making power money, but that's fine enough, I guess.
Yeah, it's going to be a little bit hard to build that geotherm. Oh wait, nope, he's expansive, what am I saying? They get half steel price for the geotherm, so it only costs 4k, which isn't too bad when you're in HQ2. But we'll delay the upgrade to HQ3 just a little bit. Speaking of upgrades, Blues has a lot of cash. 21k in the bank, only needs 11k for the upgrade, so she could take it any time he pleases, but would need to sell out of some of this fuel and oxygen. Cat did finally get up to HQ2. Just operating off of this single steel mill, went into 2 wind turbines, wants to make some power money. She does have 7k debt, so that's going... Excuse me, she's going to make some power money pretty quickly. So that might be her ticket back into the game.
Power money. She needs a boost now, because the dire situation with the steel production, I mean, it's under control now, it's still being as low as it is, but it's a big risk. And if anybody else were to pick up slant drilling before she, then she is potentially long-term in some deep trouble.
Now the big risk, and you know why, it's a calculated risk. She does not have a goon on any of her wind turbines because goons are too expensive. Now nobody's spied it out, no spies have been purchased, so right now Cat's making power money.
Goes.
Oh, who purchased the spy? Oh, somebody.
Wait, what is it?
Blues. Blues looking at the competition for wind. So Blues probably going to... Blues does have a mutiny. That's going to go on these wind turbines any time now, I would have to expect. Blues HQ3, along with Cat. Cat also getting up to HQ3 thanks to the cheap steel. And leaving Area 51 is the only HQ on 2. It needs 20k for the upgrade. Total, most of that in glass, had 17, so that'll happen very shortly. Cat immediately going to HQ3. Patent Lab makes perfect sense.
Look at that electronics price though, 33. That is insanely low. If you're anybody here, in my opinion, you do look for any spare money to invest into electronics.
And Cat did with 40.
To upgrade, but I guess nobody does.
No, everybody else needs it in glass for the upgrades. That tactic is still sitting on 1 claim. Finally puts that down. It's going to be a pleasure dome with double adjacency.
Here's the situation too. Offworld companies, they seem to be pretty lucrative this game. Food already on a pretty steady launch. If you're anybody here, you have the chance to pick up 100 electronics pretty cheap. And that can secure you a very long-term advantage. Then again, that does come at cost of some upgrades. But it might be something worth discussing with yourself as you see the steadily increase in the electronics price that will keep on going.
So, Death Tacticus HQ4 probably going to get some of the black market starting to rain down on him. A little bit surprised. Let's see, what did Blues ever do with those mutinies? I missed them, their use. Blues is shipping long distance. Area 51 also moving into a patent lab themselves, deciding to get into a patent race with a scientist. Always very dangerous. Death Tacticus doing it also. And then Cat, no, Blue circuit overloaded Death Tacticus patent lab. So, but Cat does get that teleportation before anybody can do anything about her undefended patent lab. So she's at least very happy about that.
Yeah, I'm surprised Cat got the stomach to not go for the slant drilling first. That's what I would have rushed towards if I was her in her situation. But
Maybe
she goes for
a
the
little
teleportation, which also is very lucrative for a scientist, being able to transport any resource anywhere on the map instantly.
It appears that Blues and Death Tacticus have identified who is who, and their black market war has only begun. I expect this will continue. For the entire rest of the game, they have a way of targeting everybody, each other, even if they shouldn't.
This Tacticus, they're the only one on level 4 and still is in tight battle with Blue's on most cash at hand, so
yeah, Tacticus
steady advantage.
Definitely in the lead, which is why these double surges on power surges on Death Tacticus definitely make sense. Blue's finally HQ4 as well, but 40k behind. But that should change once Blues puts down a bunch of these tiles.
This Tacticus did actually sabotage Blue's what's that? I think that was the Tactics. Yeah, it was his iron. So he do need to spend another claim there long term, most likely.
Yeah, unlike last game, the black market attacks are going fast and furious, and it's a little bit hard to keep track of them all. Blues does have the geothermal plant from Death Tacticus. In response to Death Tacticus power surging Blues solar panels, which are finally getting offline. Death Tacticus does have a lot of money. Cat has a lot of money. Cat going into slant drilling, which is much needed as the steel price is getting pretty high. Cat deciding that, you know what, the only way to stay in this game is to be bold, and taking the HQ for upgrade. Has enough to buy one share in herself, and then it's going to put down some steel mills. Then it needs to go into something that makes her money, and she decides that's going to be another greenhouse farm, I would expect. Yes.
I wouldn't be too surprised to see that Tacticus attempting to buy Cat, possibly. Not quite there money-wise quite yet, and does take the upgrade instead, so we do not see any aggression out there. Is instead going to secure his long-term advantage
immediately
first to HQ5.
Frozen by Blues. Blues had that power surge stored up and just waiting to go as soon as those electrolysis reactors came online. This battle between Blues and Death Tacticus continues to happen. Let's look at the black market. What do we have going on? Death Tacticus hit Blues 3 times. Blues hit Death Tacticus 4 times. That might be Cat's ticket back into this game. She's has more cash on hand than Blues does. Area 51 still struggling a little bit over here in HQ4. Never got into any life support despite having all this water next to them. Let's see, what do the patents look like? Has picked up virtual reality and superconductor. Finally going into a pleasure dome.
Congratulations.
So Area 51 just lagging a little bit behind.
The Tacticus has had a pleasure dome worth around 300 every tick for a significant amount of time here. So really has played a part in his big advantage this far, I believe. But now it's being, as you said, countered by Area 51, getting one up of his own.
So Cat is going for thinking machines and will very easily win the race between her and Death Tacticus. Just trying to set herself up for the late game as best as possible. Death Tacticus not going to be happy about that. More aggression on Death Tacticus from Blues. Blues recognizing that Death Tacticus is the most dangerous player on the board and solely targeting Death Tacticus with pretty much everything that he has. Maybe a little bit annoyed that nobody else is joining in on the aggression against Death Tacticus.
Yeah, Cat is probably banking on the Tacticus focusing down Blues here. If the Tacticus realizes the potential danger in Cat, I would say it's quite a big danger.
Does not want to lose nanotech to the scientist, so puts down a spy, uses a mutiny to take it, and then goes into carbon scrubbing as well. And now Detective says, you took a risky upgrade, Cat. Ooh. I'm going to buy into you, and Cat almost has enough to defend herself.
But it is a reality check. Anybody can come in here and mess up her day, but why would they?
Yeah, no reason for Area 51 to do anything about that. Blue's recognizing the situation, deciding to upgrade while Death Tacticus is busy elsewhere. Cat is able to defend herself, so no majority buys here.
But the potential downside to the aggressiveness of the tactic is that he's got a painted huge target in the middle of his forehead now. Everybody sees that he is the one in the lead with all that cash, and I don't see really what else they are going to do other than targeting him on the black market to stop this.
Well, the good thing for Death Tacticus is freezes. There's only one form of freeze, and it's a power surge. Cat doesn't really want to freeze Death Tacticus because their buildings are so tied up, so it's really just Blues there. Nukes could still rain down, and Death Tacticus does have, let's check, does have this undefended high water pump that could be nuked out. For 6k nuke, that would definitely be worth it.
This tactic is buying up 500 pieces of food. I don't quite understand it. I don't see any hacks in progress, and we do see other parties auto selling down the food, so not quite understanding that one.
No, I don't understand that one either. I mean, sure, Death Tacticus throws out the scientist food, but Blues has a triangle of food up right now, auto selling it. Arena has moving into a triangle of food, already has 2 up, selling it. Extra claim going to Blues for 28k. Is Blues the only one in chemicals so far this game? I think that might be. A bit surprised that Hat hasn't gone into chemicals using the ability to get carbon straight out from the ice.
Rahi in the chat is correct, however. Death Tactic is buying up on a lot of food, likely because it was launched, but do you see that the others are selling down? He is now going into Offworld. I did see him picking up 100 glass and 100 electronics previously, especially those electronics were rather cheap for an Offworld, so he gets in cheap Offworld up, and with 44k launches of food, that is a very attractive thing indeed. Yeah, and I reckon it can't be like hologram, can it? Because there's no holograms here.
There are no holograms, but if he has a goon on it, and it's only 2 items you can use to go through that goon: the 30k power surge or 14k mutiny. So Death Tacticus is in the lead and looks like might remain in the lead this entire game. It's going to be hard to go into breakthrough.
With 62k, can secure another Offworld. And I believe that's what he's doing out there. Seems
Probably.
He's got one title clear, and he buys off Goon, and it comes up the second Offworld market. The tactic is to 2 Offworld markets before anybody else reaches any.
Buying 2 shares in their own stock. Now, if I'm Cat, I have thinking machines, so I probably want to move into an Offworld market sooner rather than later to, take benefit of that. Blues is in double optimization centers and a hacker array, deciding that Offworlds are a little bit too expensive to put up, I suppose. Although they're only 62k. Maybe just doesn't want to buy 70k goons when there's still 14k mutinies, but it's going to try and short out chemicals along with lots of optimizations to win the game. Area 51 is in an optimization center as well, but has only researched glass. Doesn't seem to have a endgame strategy in Area 51, and Cat theoretically has an endgame strategy with these patents. Okay, looks like he's finally moving into an Offworld. herself, but a little bit late to the program. Oh, I spoke up too soon. Area 51
and Cat moving into that off-world, and I would say so that there's basically no excuse to not be an off-world with such a cheap off-world market. The only excuse might be the black market, but you buy one mutiny and I feel like you're good to go. You don't even have to unit. If somebody pays to power surge it, then you will tank through that, but likely everybody else is doing the same. So
Blues had a circuit overload stored up from an auction, so now is a chance for somebody to get in on this off-world market in 12 seconds.
The Tacticus have brought up a mutiny, rightfully so, so if anybody tries to mutiny his off-road, he will be right there to defend it.
The Tacticus immediately going into Blues.
We do have the biggest threat though. I feel like Cat or Urso is even a bigger threat than what Blues is at the moment.
So Det Tacticus mutinies it right back, but if Area 51 is paying attention, Area 51 has a mutiny stored up, and it would be a good idea to mutiny the off-road market that you know doesn't have a goon on it. No mutinies for Cat, but she has enough money to go into one. I mean, keeping those, or Power Surge, that's probably strictly better at this point, Power Surging that from Cat's perspective. And then Det Tacticus, so confident in the amount of money that he has, is buying into 2 people.
Yeah, I don't really see the downside to that, other than once again painting the target in the big mid of your forehead, but he already has that, so it's more of a long-term investment, I reckon, before he manages to, or she manages to defend her stuff.
Blues, a little bit frustrated, I have to imagine, that nobody else is really attacking Det Tacticus. Finally freezes Det Tacticus market. There, Area 51 here, going into 2 off-worlds. Area 51 might benefit from the fact that they are just sitting over here in the corner, so look for them to be a wild card in this late game.
Yeah, only other person with 2 off-worlds, and that racks up a lot of revenue, and if so be that the Tacticus wins the game, there's a fair chance Area 51 will potentially get that 2nd place. So, I mean, with the situation as is, I think it's a good play from Area 51.
I mean, things are so fluid right now, it's too early to be talking about 2nd place from anybody. Cat sitting on, once again, a rather large stockpile of mutiny. Well, Det Tacticus is paying attention to the expansive sitting in the corner, deciding to force some mutiny plays back and forth just to raise the price of those mutinies, and somebody just bought a 50k mutiny. It was Det Tacticus. Det Tacticus did not want to lose the 2 off-worlds that he has to mutiny. Det Tacticus does need 391k to purchase Cat, has 80 in the bank, and could sell out of the 2 shares in Blues to gain another 70k. Cat needs 981k to purchase Det Tacticus and is 43% of the way there.
Cat got a lot of money, so there is the potential for Cat and somebody else ganging up to attempt to buy out the Tacticus, but they got to act soon, as the Tacticus is making a lot of money with those off-worlds.
Yeah,
and also recognizing, as we pointed out, that Cat is the bigger competitor than Blues at the moment.
If I'm Cat, I'm definitely thinking about buying into Det Tacticus and then hoping, I mean, you know that both Det Tacticus and Blues are in this game, and if you buy into one of the 2, the other one will probably recognize it's in their benefit to help take out the leader.
Launch affirmative. What a payout.
And there she begins to go.
Surging Cat. Yeah. Correct call here from Cat.
It's her only shot to remain in the game. And then Area 51 sitting on a large stockpile of cash over here, 644k. Area 51 is going to be very close to buying out that Tacticus. Once Cat buys this last share, I wonder if Area 51 is paying attention. Looks like
90%. Wow.
Most of the resources are sold, just waiting on some launches. has 100% on blues. Buying into blues by Area 51 I think would be a huge and terrible mistake, but doesn't click that button, red button. It did not show up, so we're just going to have to wait and see how close is blues to making the buy. 750, no, not even anywhere near close. So it's, once these launches go off, will Detecticus be knocked out of the game? Detecticus
almost prices are so low.
Has enough to buy out Cat. It's going to be very close. Area 51 has the buy. Needs to cancel the off-world.
What?
Instead goes in for Cat. That's a terrible mistake. It's a terrible
if you're
mistake.
A Cat, you're very frustrated at the moment.
I mean, you know, if you can be a little bit frustrated, but you expect king making to happen in a FFA, especially when you have a newer players. This, unfortunately, when Area 51 watches the replay, is going to have a very, very harsh lesson in what they could improve in the next games that they play.
Now the game is completely open again. Blue is suddenly having a wide door in front of him. Now the one on the most cash at hand, that tactic is being bought completely up. Now the only remaining is to get the majority, or what do you say, like the overtake right here. So Blues is suddenly the one who got the most control here.
Yeah, I mean, as Yaren points out in chat, in Area 51's defense, the stock game in an FFA is hard, and the AI is not good enough to teach you the stock game. And the only way to learn the stock game is to be in highly competitive games.
Yeah.
So, those lessons come in time. Yeah, but Blues right here, getting very close to being able to buy out Detecticus, and that would put Blues in the driver's seat for winning this game.
If you're Area 51 here, you gotta look to buy into Blues, maybe. But it's a tricky situation indeed.
Yeah, buying into Blues before Blues takes out Detecticus is definitely the thing to do. Hopefully Area 51 knows about mousing over the other players to see how much cash and resources they have on hand. But Blues getting very close to the buy, just benefiting greatly from Area 51 taking out Cat.
And there he got the buy and he takes it. Picks up the last stock in Area 51.
Yep, now it's just a race between Blues and Area 51. Blues is able to secure the 4 shares in Cat, but the majority of shares in Detecticus. So the question is, can Blues make up this large cash disadvantage before Area 51 can earn 1.3 million. So Area 51 halfway there. Blues need 780k. So both players really need to earn about the same amount of money in the same amount of time. And so some of these nukes, really cheap nuke onto this expensive water from Area 51. So at least using the black market late in the game, and this is going to be a very close finish, I think. I mean, both players have roughly the same amount of cash.
Blues need Detecticus subsidiary to pay off rapidly right here, as there's not a lot of high onward prices, I do say that, but food is pretty high and carbon is pretty high. But what I'm saying is that the off-road launches are such a significant income at the moment, so it's rather equal in that sense, with both of them running 2 off-worlds.
Pirates.
Area 51 is the one closest to getting the buy here, but it's not a undoable task for Blues here to catch up.
No, it is not, especially with nukes at 20k. I mean, Area 51 has some very easy to nuke water tiles right here that Area 51 is using. to keep these farms online. Even so, still losing
Launch
1.64
affirmative. What a payout.
water a second. Blues is positive on water despite the nuking out, so that's definitely an area that Blues could do to potentially stretch the game out a little bit
Optimization routines.
longer.
Blues got the better side of a fuel
This is
shortage,
getting
now selling out, and he equaled it almost solely on the fuel hack or shortage
this-
or whatever it was. I don't think it was
This
a hack.
is going to be a race to the finish.
Look at all
Ooh,
the
a launch coming in for Area 51 now on 93%. It's all about those launches and how do they look?
They are very close. Fortunately, we can see them thanks to a tournament mod right here. And Blues is going to get some launches off first. The question is, will it be enough to make the 10% that he needs to win at 74k launches? I think the answer is yes. Yep, Blues is going to win.
100%.
Has the buy button. Takes the lead, and Blues, our new king of the hill,
That's ridiculous.
and Area
99%.
51 coming in second place. So, 2 extremely good games in a row from Offworld Kings. I mean, unfortunately for Cat, this is a very unfair format, so, and Tacticus, so they have to gracefully leave, but we do have our new King and Heir going on to the next game.
I do want to point out what a performance by Area 51. I don't know if it's his tournament debut or their tournament debut, but
I believe
still
so.
not a very known name, and coming in here and securing the second spot with us to the next round.
Right,
Fantastic.
and was, except for that not buying out that Tacticus, if Area 51 did that, they probably would have won first.
I
and
do
been
agree
undisputed.
on that.
So just some things to clean up in the future games, but tournaments are always a great learning experience.
I do want to take a look at the charts and graphs at the moment. So much going on in this game. All the players having the biggest money maker being the Offworld trading company itself.
Yep. Almost neck. There you can see those launch timings right there at the end, which is what pushed Blues over the edge. 1.112k versus 1.093k. It came down to timings, unfortunately.
Death Tactic is being the harshest or favorite target of all the other players, though. Blues targeting him 10 times. So a lot of people contributing to taking the initial leader down.
Yeah. Cat hit Tacticus 3 times, Area 51 once, and let's see, Blues got hit by Cat and Area 51 once apiece. So definitely Tacticus. That's what happens when you're in the lead. You just get all the black market rained down on you.
Yeah, so that's why it's a rather unforgiving game for the Tacticus too. Having a huge lead coming out of the gate, then being subject to double teaming, and he's out.
Yep. So we do have our new king in Blues, which is not a surprise. But we do have our surprise heir in Area 51.
And the tips going into next round for Area 51 should try to make more use of the black market with only 4 buys right there. With that, I think we can see even better results out of Area 51.